Judy, anybody want to come here?
I would like to say something. I would like to say that what I've seen here this week says that clearly, XMRV at best, what we originally set out to do 5 years ago was a systems biology approach. We used those genomic technologies with Mike Dean and Mary Carrington. We used a microarray from the NCI to screen all the pathogens. And what we saw was what we heard from Mary Schweitzer, that a lot of active pathogens and things like shingles, things like enteroviruses, things like EBV, CMV, HHV6, they're all totally on in that microarray. In NCI's infinite wisdom, it didn't put XMRV on it. So that's how we ended up going back. But we didn't look with a hypothesis for retroviruses. We took the systems biology approach, collected samples from well-defined patients who had the infectious characteristics that Tony Komaroff talked about and that were in the Low study, that Dan Peterson had done. These patients had data on them for decades. We took samples over 3 years. So it wasn't that we found the virus in every sample, like the macaque study, where it quickly went into the tissues, like the mouse study that came out this week that said the antibody responses were weak and transient. We don't know everything about this virus, but HIV does not cause AIDS. The CDC definition is HIV and one of 25 copathogens. So the Lyme, the EBV, the enteroviruses, Martin Lerner's patients who don't get better with Valcyte. This is a reasonable hypothesis because we see the same thing. We've developed a cytokine signature that is distinct from Nancy's cytokine signature and from Ben Nadelson's. So this is a marker to follow on clinical trial improvement. But there's no doubt these people are infected with HTLV1. If you're seropositive and you're sick, you can get some kind of treatment. I'm not saying antiretrovirals, I'm saying immune modulators. So the patients that are found to be infected now, and there are thousands of them, need something now, not 3 years from now when Lipkin decides there's an association. Whatever their disease is, they're infected and sick. And I know John has patients that Chia has patients who are co-infected, and they don't treat the same way. So we can get together with the physicians who have co-infected patients, even Lyme doctors we're working with across the country, and start doing something now. Take it out of CFS. It's not about CFS. It's about a retrovirus we don't understand very well. As Frank Rossetti said at a meeting a month or so ago, if this were HIV, it would be 1983. That's all.
Judy, I think you need to be careful. You said when Lipkin decides whether or not XMRV is real.
I know. I'm just saying when the Lipkin study, I'm not saying anything. Lipkin's a wonderful man. I'm saying when the Lipkin study's done, 2 years from now. The way it's set up, there's 1,300 samples, and I've got to do what I do, and it takes 2 months on every one of them. Oh, yeah, great.
Just a word, as a neurologist who again believes this ailment is the brain. The brain is the organ being affected. We looked at our spinal fluids using both broad viral panel and the specific look at XMRV. A paper just came out a few days ago, and we found nothing, unfortunately.
But so, the damage at a distance, the microglia, Sandy Rossetti's entire work, the infected cell doesn't have to be the brain.
Obviously, well,
and we don't know anything about the stability in CSF.
It obviously may not see. I mean, obviously there are examples of CNS infection that don't go to spinal fluid. And but with HIV it does, but certainly it's negative, so it doesn't tell us hopefully there are other explanations. I'm just reporting the data.
Yeah, 2 samples. It was not a good study.
Thank you.
We'll go later.
Right.
It's totally flawed.
John Kuziak in the neurology.
I have to just say, I'm always doing it wrong. So
there's no validation of looking at CSF in spinal fluid. There's no validation. It's a different sample matrix. It's not blood. So you.
Okay. Neurology.
So I'm here to report on the neurology session. It was considerably less controversial than the previous one, and I